Hello and welcome to the Untranslatable Podcast. We are here recording episode number 41. Today we will be focusing on the elections in the United States and also elections in other countries. Although this won't be hot off the press for our American listeners out there, I think it will be very informative for our listeners abroad about the midterm elections going on in the United States, and we will also be discussing different aspects of voting and elections in other countries. So we're very excited to bring you this episode. A little warning for you all: we will be getting a little political today. So if that's not your cup of tea, listen to some different episodes, I guess. But we hope you enjoy. We're happy to bring this episode to you. And without further ado, I'm here with my amazing co-host, my buddy Jared. What's going on, Jared?
Hey there, everyone. We're here through thick and thin. We've made it. If you guys knew what we've gone through to even be here right now. And for that, I have to say, here on the Untranslatable Podcast, we are proud Republicans, and we support one of the greatest presidents we've had, I think, in modern history, at least since Reagan, Donald J. Trump. And if you don't like that, then, hey, you can get out of here, okay? Because this is how we do it. And we're not afraid to get political because we're proud of who we are and what we stand for as proud Republican American men.
I'm really impressed you were able to say that with I guess, such a straight voice, since our listeners can't see your face.
I've been getting used to this whole podcasting thing. It's easier for me to say ridiculous things now. Anyway, if you want to see some more ridiculousness, hey, by the way, I'm not a Republican. Let me just throw that out there. Those were all jokes, and Chad found it hilarious because of the just absolute preposterousness of that notion. But I guess we'll get to that later. I hope not. For more fun shenanigans like that, follow me on us, the Untranslatable Podcast, on Twitter at Untranslatable1, the number 1. Or you could follow us on Instagram, where we always have fun pictures and sound clips and whatnot, and sometimes videos. I mean, I guess the sound clips are videos, but I don't. It's not really video. They're fun sound clips of fun happenings. Untranslatable Podcast, and email us at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. Tell us what computer I should get next, because I'm about to throw this current one out the freaking window. And also, please send me some meditation and or yoga routines, because your boy is flustered.
That's right. That's right. Technology can be great sometimes, but it can be so frustrating. And sadly, I don't know if our listeners out there know about this. I don't mean to jump the gun, but there have definitely been some issues with some. I remember a few years ago when Obama was still president, people used to always say, "Thanks, Obama," whenever anything bad happened.
Yeah.
Can we do that now and just say, "Thanks, Trump," if something bad happens?
Yeah, take that off of Obama. It's like, this joke doesn't even make any sense anymore.
Right. That's true. That is very true. But yeah, there were a lot of issues I've been reading in the news about a lot of the voting machines acting up, which seems pretty shady. I've heard that in a few different states, I believe Georgia, which we can talk about a little bit later in our main segment, but I heard that for Georgia, for I think the governor race, if you clicked the Democratic candidate, it would somehow malfunction and automatically put the Republican candidate.
Yeah, I saw that clip on social medias. I didn't know there were voting machines like that. I didn't know they had LCD screens like that at some voting places. That seems odd. That just seems very easy to manipulate. Although I will say, last time I voted, I wasn't sure. There was a hot sec where I was like, did that go through? Did that happen?
Right.
But it was not like a LCD screen or anything. It was like a big button that says vote. We'll get once again. We are jumping the gun.
Yeah, but what is crazy though is I guess a while back, an 11-year-old kid from Florida was able to hack into their electronic voting system or something crazy like that.
Oh
so
my gosh.
So, sometimes I do think that the
Shout out
old
to that
school
kid, by the way.
paper,
I'm not mad at
right?
I'm not even really that mad at him. It's just
Right.
I'm more mad at the people that made the systems. It's like, really?
Obviously, yeah,
11-year-old
exactly.
kid hack into your shit.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, you wouldn't think that'd be happening, but yeah. But anyways, what's been going on with you? It's been a minute since I've talked to you.
Yeah, not much, not much. I actually really not much, but I was doing research actually for work, and I stumbled upon something that I found very interesting. And I was reading something about self-driving cars, and the article was called "Should a self-driving car kill the baby or the grandma? Depends on where you come
Yep.
from." You saw that?
I have not seen that, but I know a guy that works at Google, and I was talking to him, and he said that the main reason why we don't already have self-driving cars is because we don't have a way to solve that moral dilemma. Do you kill the passengers in the car,
Yes.
or do you kill the person?
Yes.
It's fascinating.
Or who do you kill? Like, does it favor younger or older people, or different? Like, because yeah, that's essentially what it's getting at. Is that different? Different cultures have different ethics and different beliefs of what's most important. And so, can I give you a couple examples?
Absolutely.
The researchers found that countries' preferences differ widely, but they also correlate highly with culture and economics. For example, participants from collectivist cultures like China and Japan are less likely to spare the young over the old. Perhaps the researchers hypothesized because of a greater emphasis on respecting the elderly.
I was just going to ask you that if that was why. But yeah, it makes sense. I had a lot of students from China in my English courses when I was still living in the United States, and a lot of them would tell me how it was very common. You moved home with your parents, you took care of them. It was just kind of culturally expected.
Right.
Whereas in the States, I feel like after your parents get too old and we can't take care of them, we're like, all right, it's nursing home time.
And some of these old people at the nursing homes never get visited by their family, like legitimately ever. And it's just
Right.
like,
Which
all right,
I think
we're
is
just
pretty
gonna throw you in
horrible.
here now, just so there's some place where you can die peacefully. By the way, let me also mention that this came from the MIT Technology Review, and so I just want to there's some legitimacy to this article.
Oh, definitely.
Just
I'd
throwing
say
that
that's
out
a
there.
very credible source.
And I can give you some more. I'm not even. That's just one of them. So man, sorry, my computer. Whew, easy. We're good. I keep having to check the recording. It's like, we good. Anyway, similarly, participants from poorer countries with weaker institutions and are more tolerant of jaywalkers versus pedestrians who cross legally. And participants from countries with a high level economic inequality show greater gaps between the treatment of individuals with high and low social status. I mean, but how are
Interesting.
cars recognizing social status though? So
I don't know if we have the technology yet.
yeah, I don't
to
think
do
so.
that.
It's like, oh, let's like analyze the logos on these people's clothes.
Well, I think the only way you
like
could do
facial
it is if
recognition
you
or
had
something?
exactly. I was just
Yeah.
gonna say facial recognition. Like China has, I guess, one of the most advanced facial recognition software systems in the world. And have you heard about this?
Yeah.
They have like
Huawei, or however you say it.
yeah, they have the like I don't know if they've started it yet, but there was talk about doing like a point system
Oh.
for people. So basically, they're watching you with these facial recognition cameras. And if you do something nice, you get a positive amount of
No.
points.
That's a Black Mirror episode.
I've heard. I don't know if it's true or not, but I was talking to a
I
friend
was
of
thinking.
mine.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was talking to a friend of mine who has taught English in China, and he had mentioned that they were thinking about implementing something like that. So basically, if you do, if they catch you stealing, and I mean, apparently they have cameras almost everywhere, at least in the cities. If they
Right.
catch you stealing, you lose points, right? And that could lead to, all sorts of different types of punishments. If you do good things, maybe they give you more vacation time, or who knows?
That is literally a Black Mirror episode where this is funny too because I've only seen 2 Black Mirror episodes and this happens to be one of them. I love that show though. I would watch more. I'm just terrible at watching TV. Anyway, so in the episode, they like everyone social media like runs society. So you get like every interaction with actual humans has some sort of social media ranking that you do in person, and then you almost have like an Uber score or a Lyft rating out of 5, and how cool you are in like your place in society is based off of all of these interactions that are immediately ranked. And so there's obviously it leads to a lot of like fake friendliness. I'm like, hi, oh hello.
Right.
Oh, could I offer you a piece of gum? Or like, it's all this ridiculous over friendliness.
That'd be awful.
And then like as soon as like someone walks out the door, it's like they look at each other and stick their phone up at each other and like rank it. And it's like, why'd you give me a 4.7? It's like it's all this.
That would be rough. I feel like that wouldn't work because people can be really petty.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, I feel like that would like quickly disintegrate into some sort of terrible sort of society where I don't know how, but I feel like somehow white people are going to manage to like have all the all the like 5.0s, and somehow it's like a black person like accidentally like sneezes in a subway and like all of a sudden he's like a 3.2 rating. He's like, what the fuck? How did this happen?
Right.
I'm sorry. It's allergy season. It's not it's okay. I'm not contagious. All right, fine. 3.7. Shut up.
Right. Yeah.
But
oh man,
I thought you were gonna mention that there were like Huawei. I don't remember how you exactly say it. Phones that are Chinese phones that are apparently really good, but they're banned from America because I believe there's some fear about tracking software within the phone that they use for whatever.
They're really popular in the Czech Republic, actually. You see ads for them all over the place here. I have a couple friends here who have Huawei or however you say that.
Yeah, I've heard they're good.
Yeah, you know what's funny though, speaking of cell phones, is a lot of Czech people I think have kind of this interesting attitude towards iPhones, which I understand because they're expensive. Mm-hmm. But like I feel like they have a weird status here. Like people here either really love them or hate them. I guess it's kind of like that in the States though too, isn't it?
With smartphones?
With iPhones.
Oh, iPhones. I mean, yeah, I'm not a phone person. I have an iPhone, and I've had mostly iPhones. I've had a couple Samsung Galaxies back in the day. I'm not really a phone person, so I just like the iPhones mostly because of their simplicity and because I like the blue when I'm texting. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, people. I mean, I get it though, because people have their like. It's just people are fan people about their own thing. Like I'm a car nerd. Granted, I don't really care what people get, so but yeah, I understand that mentality though, to be like, oh no, the iPhone sucks. Where it's like, all right, it might not be the best, and maybe you could objectively show me why it's not the best. But saying it sucks, it's like, all right, relax. If it sucked, would it be one of the most popular phones in the world?
Right.
So I do think some of that. I mean, people do take that stuff to. Also, I never talk about this in my personal lives because I was about to say because I talk about interesting shit, but the reality is I don't talk to anyone. I was at work today and I said, my coworker came in after me and she said good morning, and I literally was like, hold on, I was really like, good morning, and I was like, sorry, that's literally the first time I've spoken today.
That's funny because my day couldn't be more opposite. The moment I walk into my office, it's good morning to usually 3 or 4 of my colleagues if they're already in the office. Mm-hmm. If I see any students, it's always hello. It's I think it's very common here in the Czech Republic. You greet everybody. If I see a student 3 or 4 times a day, I'm saying hello to them 4 or 5 times a day.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's actually kind of nice, but like I've noticed this week, I don't know if it's the weather has changed a lot here in Chomutov, and I'm starting to get like a scratchy throat, so I've been drinking a lot of tea. I hope it's not a cold. I'm gonna knock on some wood and make sure it's not.
We can't afford that. We're on a tight train of pumping out podcasts. We can't have a weak
That's true. That's true.
You're an introducer. You're the first thing people hear when they come to the Untranslatable podcast. You're like, hello. Welcome.
I'll just have to pre-record a bunch of intros if I think my voice.
I'll just do it all through drops. I'll go back through to at least do it all through drops.
Yes, that'd be great. I want a Bafu Safu drop in the intro as well.
Of course.
Oh yeah, that's right. Also, I've been scrolling through Instagram and I've been seeing a lot of brushy one string.
Really? On your personal Instagram? Because I haven't seen that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, on my personal Instagram. And it
starting
always
to
makes
get some
me
buzz?
think of the podcast. I think he seems like he's fairly popular.
Okay. Because I know he's already known, but I didn't know how popular he was.
Right. Also, for all of our listeners out there, take a look at our YouTube channel. We have all of our songs on the pod on a playlist. And I've been thinking, Jared, I wanted to actually ask you what your opinion would be on this.
No.
I think
bad idea. I hate it.
I think it might be cool to make a couple like playlists of songs in like specific languages, like a German language, like music
like
playlist.
Split out. You mean split out our own songs of the pod, or take other songs?
Take just songs we like
okay.
in German, Spanish, whatever. And I think that might be kind of cool, because obviously with our podcast, we are hoping to become polyglots. We're hoping to help our listeners also learn new words in other languages and learn new things about other cultures. And I feel like music is such a great way to do that,
Yeah. We are definitely strong proponents of music being a vehicle with which one can learn languages, and I think that's a good idea. So even though you're giving us both more work, I think it's a good idea.
You have the proof here. I will spearhead this bad boy.
Okay, all right, then I love it. I love this idea.
Now where I think might be kind of cool is to also ask the people on our Instagram and also our Facebook page what music they like in specific languages. It'd be cool to get some audience feedback what music they like. So I'll post a couple things.
Yeah.
If you could put out something on Twitter, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, I could do that. A crowdfunded playlist of songs from all around the world. I think that's a beautiful idea. And I would listen to it. I said it. I would listen to it, and not only because it's made by us and I know it's going to be good. Granted, I'm going to say let's keep the acapella to a minimum.
All right, I'll try my best. You know I love my acapella, but yeah, that sounds good though. A playlist by the people for the people.
Oh yes, for the people, by the people. All right, I'm trying to do a FUBU out of this, but I'm trying to make it work. For the people, by the people. FTP, BTP. Fuck that.
Gotta put a hashtag on that bad boy.
FTP, FTB. It's not as good as FUBU, I'll say that.
Right. What does FUBU stand for again?
For us, by us.
For us, by us.
Yeah. You know who us is?
No.
Take a guess. Who's us?
I don't know. Well, is it racist if I say that isn't FUBU wasn't it started by Russell Simmons?
I don't know who. Wasn't it started by that guy from Shark Tank?
Was it? I thought it was started. I thought it was started by a black guy. Am I right? I thought it was started by a black guy.
It was started by a black guy. It was are you racist? No, you're not racist to state a fact.
And I'm assuming that's what the us is, right?
It's owned by a guy from yes. It's owned by a guy that's on Shark Tank. Yes, his name's Damon John. Let's see. Maybe it is also owned. Maybe it's co-owned by, or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he owns it now. I don't know. And I don't really feel like doing this much research. No one from
says he's the CEO.
Yeah, Russell
CEO
Simmons doesn't own shit. Russell Simmons has nothing to do with this. Also, Russell Simmons is a rapist. Right. Is that the right one? Is that the right one? Russell Simmons? Let me make sure I got the right guy.
I'm not so sure. I thought Russell Simmons was Russell. Really? Is he?
Yeah.
Really? He's a rapist?
Well, let me make sure now because I'm making some bold claims.
Those are some really bold claims.
I'm on his Wikipedia, and I'm just gonna start by saying before I even get to it, there's a section 6.2 accusers, 6.2-1 sexual harassment or assault, sexual 2.2 rape.
I see it. Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, he currently is living in like some place in like the Philippines or somewhere or Thailand, somewhere over there where there's no extradition. He just chose it based on that, I assume.
Really? I didn't know that. Okay.
Women who have said they have been raped by Simmons include, there are 5 of them. And there are...
yep, I'm on the Wikipedia page too.
7 that say he's sexually assaulted or harassed them.
Okay. Interesting.
So
I did not know that.
It was a bold but true claim.
Glad you could back that up with some truth.
Although it really took off some of the heat of it if we have to then go and research it. And I can't just blast it out there.
Right.
But I guess that's probably a good thing to verify. I'm just going to throw that out there. It is a bold claim. Even though I was like, all right, Jared, relax. You're a little too excited right now. I know you're flustered, but you can't use that when Russell's lawyers are coming after you.
That's true. I don't know if the Untranslatable has the funds to get lawyered up to fight those lawyers.
No, I might have to hawk off my my untranslatable Rolex for a very good lawyer, for the best for that lawyer, for Michael Jackson's lawyer or something. Johnny Cochran, I believe that was.
Right.
Oh man, this is taking a weird turn. A weird turn.
Well,
but I do like your idea
Jared.
of the YouTube playlist. And also, if you guys would like, once again, I haven't done it yet, but I will figure out how to make this freaking playlist video on the cheapest possible way while it still looks good. However, you can still listen to our episodes on YouTube if you prefer it that way. All of our episodes, not all of them, there are like 3 that aren't there. Most of our episodes are on YouTube, and you can listen to them there. And it's the same crystal clear quality that you get everywhere. You know, dude, I still miss recording for my sister's place. It was like some sort of cornucopia of it was perfect.
Right.
It's not off of a main street one.
Mm-hmm.
It's not big and empty like my room is. I'm actually I meant to tell you this off the podcast, but I didn't expect to have hours long of difficulties. I think I'm going to consider starting to record from a closet. See if I can step this puppy up. You laugh, but I'm serious.
I believe you.
Speaking of audio quality, serious. By the way, didn't you have your ears melted off recently?
Oh my God. How did I forget to mention this? Yes, I did. Yesterday, actually. I was in Prague with one of my colleagues from school, and we saw Buddy Guy at the Lucerna. It's not really a cafe. On the ticket it says cafe, but it also says the big concert hall, or Velký sál in Czech. And we had standing room tickets, which I'm going to be honest with you. If I would have known how crowded it would have been, and also the layout of the theater or the concert hall, I would have paid the extra money and gotten seats.
Where were the standing room spots?
So it was kind of strange. So you had your typical kind of row of seats right stage center, directly in front of the stage. Then way behind that, you had the first part of standing room, and then the standing room went all the way around. It was kind of like an old opera house. So you had like not only the front, like the center of the stage, but also all the sides, and it made like a U shape around the stage. And so we stood stage left, and occasionally we could get a glimpse of Buddy Guy. But the problem was and honestly, fuck these guys. We had a bunch of like tall dudes just right in the very front. And it's like, dude, if you're like over 6 feet, I'm like 5'8", maybe 5'9" on a really damn good day. And like, why can't you just let me stand in front of you? Like, you could easily still see over me.
Yeah.
It's not a problem.
You'll even let him use your head as a resting spot for his beer.
Right? Exactly.
Ask politely.
So
Yeah, no,
yeah.
that's shitty for sure.
But otherwise, I mean, the
Would
concert
you give
was
up your
great.
spot for someone smaller than you? Granted, that would be a child at that point. And I
Well,
can make that joke because I'm the same size as you.
there was actually a I believe an older brother and his little sister. She looked like she was probably 8 or 9. She was really short.
Yeah, but did she give a shit about Buddy Guy?
Well, he put her up on his shoulders.
Oh yeah.
And then so she was good.
Okay.
And he was actually pretty tall. He was, I would guess, about 6 feet.
Okay.
So, but it's funny. My colleague from school and I were also about the same height, and we both were on our tiptoes most of the night, trying to catch a glimpse of him.
workout.
Yep. Well, and we stood there. There was an opening band as well. I forget the name of the band now, but we stood for like almost 3-4 hours. I think about 3.5 hours.
Ooh, okay.
So I was feeling it
workout,
by the end of the concert for sure.
So you couldn't see him well.
Yeah, not
But I
great.
assume
And
you
I
could
don't have
hear
any
him
good
well.
pictures. Oh yeah, I mean the
Well, that's
audio
okay.
quality
Concert
was
pictures
great.
usually suck anyway.
That's true. That's true.
That's okay.
But it was great, man. He played some of the classics. He opened with "Damn Right I Got the Blues," which is probably one of his most famous songs.
Okay.
He played like this really cool medley of a bunch of blues stuff. He started with a John Lee Hooker song called "Boom Boom," which is a classic, and he actually got his start in Detroit. John Lee Hooker did. Then he played. He played a B.B. King song. I'm trying to think of the name of it, but that was really, really good. He played a bit of Purple Haze by Jimi Hendrix, a bit of Voodoo Child by Jimi Hendrix.
Is Buddy Guy?
He's got to be in his 70s.
So, I thought he was older than that. So why is it that he's just so? Is he considered a legend?
Oh, yeah.
Why is it
Without
he's
a
just
doubt.
playing other people's shit?
Oh, shit, dude. He's 82 years old.
That's what I thought. I thought he was in his
82.
80s.
Damn, dude. Eric Clapton is 73.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Interesting.
Buddy Guy's that's still out there killing it though. He's on the road.
Oh,
he's not
he
just
was-
traveling. I mean, he's in Prague.
And you should have seen it, dude. He played some licks with a drumstick on his guitar,
Oh, that's cool.
and then he wiped his forehead with a towel, and then he was swinging the towel around in a circle, hitting his strings and playing like that.
Have you ever
He's
tried
a-
that before?
I have not, but I'm going to
Have
now.
you seen that before?
I've never seen a towel trick. I've seen him play before with the drumstick, and I've seen other guitarists.
Yeah, I've heard the
do it.
drumstick one. I've never heard the
Yeah.
towel one before.
So
So
he's an entertainer, a performer, a showman. He played behind his head. He played with his teeth.
did he really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We did
and
not
he
see all
also,
that the one time we saw him at the Oyster Fest.
That was also just impromptu. I'm sure he plays so many times in Chicago. He probably doesn't pull out all the
Right.
stops in Chicago.
He'd be busting a hip if he did that.
Right.
Every
but
time
the
he
other
did
thing
a
that he
gig.
did. Exactly. But the other thing that he did, which I thought was awesome, and I saw him do this at the Fox Theater in Detroit when he opened for B.B. King when I was in high school. I saw them with my dad. And he always, if it's like a smaller theater and the stage isn't too high up and there are steps from the stage to the seated room, sorry, I can't talk, to the seated room, he actually walked
excited.
down and was playing like, right in the seated area, and people were like taking pictures with him. And there was this one, like, I'm assuming Czech woman. She was like dancing. She was loving it. He saw her. He walked up and was playing a solo right next to her. And like, the cool thing about music is like, I think you kind of feed off of each other's vibes. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And so he saw this woman just grooving to his music, and I think that maybe even like brought his energy up even more. But yeah, he killed it. I mean, his guitar tone is impeccable. He's so good, and he knows how to give a good show. What I loved about the concert as well is after the first song, he says, "I don't usually say this, but why is this the first time y'all called me?"
Oh,
Because this was the first time he's played in Prague. Yeah.
Okay.
And he's been famous for a while. I mean, he's a 7-time Grammy winner.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So, how big was this venue? About how many people do you think it was?
Oh, that's a great question. I would guess anywhere from, with standing room, I don't know, maybe 3,000 people.
Okay. How was the clientele looking age-wise?
It was a lot of people in their 60s and 70s, I would imagine.
Okay.
Saw a lot of dudes in leather jackets, some type of band t-shirt and long hair.
Oh, like old rockers?
Yep. Saw a lot of guys with like Black Sabbath, AC/DC t-shirts. I had my Jimi Hendrix t-shirt on.
That's kind of nice. People coming from all different rock backgrounds that are just like all like coming to respect a legend. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and people loved it. What I'm a little disappointed about, though, is he didn't play an encore. But now that I know he's 82 years old, I guess I don't feel as
happy
bad.
that he got into a goddamn plane for 8 hours.
Right. But one of my favorite songs that he played at the concert is called Cognac.
Okay.
And it's a great song. I think it's off of his.
We'll add it to our
we should
speaking
playlist. Mm-hmm. We could also do a like an American playlist. That'd be really cool too. It's a good idea. But yeah, so he played Cognac, and that's off his newest album, The Blues Is Alive and Well.
Okay, he's still putting out albums.
Yeah, which I feel a little worried though, because there weren't a lot of young people at the show. So I think The Blues Is Alive and Well for, I would say, people from the 80s to maybe 80 years old to 60 years old. But there was a big drop in numbers in terms of people under, I would guess, probably 50 or 60. I saw maybe 5 people around my age.
Would you say the blues is dying?
I think, sadly, not only is the blues dying, I think a lot of rock music is too.
That's true.
I mean, you just don't see... I don't know of that many rock bands that a lot of young people, at least in the United States. I can tell you in the Czech Republic, people love rock music. Like, most of my students, a lot of them listen to AC/DC, Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, but you're all talking about people that are either dead or in their 70s and 80s.
Right. So I think unless there's a few really good rock bands out there, one of them that I can definitely say is fantastic, and they're a newer band, is Greta Van Fleet. Have you ever heard of them?
I know the name, but that's all. I know Greta. I'm gonna
look them up. We'll have to feature them as a song on the pod eventually.
They look kind of psychedelic a little bit.
Yeah, I would say they're basically a modern day. Yep, I would say they're a modern day Led Zeppelin. Their singer sounds just like Robert Plant, who's the lead singer from Led Zeppelin.
Oh, I think that's where I've heard of him from.
And another really good group you should check out is, I believe, you and all of our listeners out there, I believe they go by Black Rabbit, and it's BLAC Rabbit, and they were actually Black Rabbit, BLAC, and then like Rabbit, and they are also kind of psychedelic rock. But these two guys,
like that part too.
But here's the thing, dude. They got famous. They went viral for playing their two brothers, I believe. They were playing guitar and bass, and they were singing. Yes, they're two brothers, and they were playing Beatles songs.
Black. I said that already.
God damn it, Jared. But yeah, they were playing Beatles songs in the subway in New York, and they sound just like the Beatles.
I see that picture right there. That when I googled Black Rabbit, that was the first picture that came up.
But they are awesome. So check them out. So maybe I'm being too pessimistic here. Maybe rock music isn't dead. It's just not as mainstream as it used to be.
Well, yeah, I don't think it's dying because people still want to play. I mean, because like people I guess how would we know? But like is people wanting to learn how to play guitar is going down. I don't think that's going to go down. So like, but I think rock bands are harder to sell these days. So I mean, you could probably still have a career as a rock band, but it's harder to sell you, and it seems like it's harder to become rich off of that, like you could in maybe the 90s or before, where rock bands were actually like the the big celebrities of the time.
Right. Now it seems like it's more DJs and EDM, electronic
and hip-hop
dance
too.
Music. Yeah. Oh, for sure. I love the hip hop that fuses elements of soul, funk, even rock sometimes.
I remember finding out. My dad is a huge Steely Dan fan.
Nice.
And I remember finding out. And I'm a big Kanye West fan of his earlier music, not of him as a person. But do you know the song "Champion"? Did you realize?
Yeah.
I remember finding out, sitting in the car listening to one of my dad's Steely Dan records, that's a Steely Dan song. That you were a champion in her
Really?
eyes.
I didn't know
that. That's a Kid Charlemagne by Steely Dan is what that is. And I was in the car. I was like, "This is Kanye West," and he's like, "What are you talking about?" I always do that to my parents because they hate it when I do that.
That's great.
This is Kanye West, isn't it? You don't know anything.
There's a group, I forget their name now, but they did a version of "Riders on the Storm" by The Doors, and I was playing it for my dad. And I was like, yeah, even though I knew obviously it was originally by The Doors, but I did the same thing just to piss him off. I was like, oh yeah, this was written by DJ blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, it wasn't. He got really offended. It was great.
That is fun to do.
Good times. Good times, that's for sure. But yeah, the Buddy Guy concert was epic.
Oh, I still had another question about that. Why was he playing other people's shit?
Oh yeah. I think he was playing other people's shit because it was his first time in Prague. I don't know if he knew that people knew a lot of his stuff.
Okay.
It was also a pretty condensed set. I mean, he played for maybe, I don't know, 60 to 80 minutes, probably maximum.
How long was the opener?
The opener was about 30 minutes.
Okay.
Somewhere around there.
Tight show.
Uh-huh. And the openers played Crossroads. Which
by Bone Thugs and Harmony.
God damn it, Jerry! I see what you did there. No,
bone.
Do you know who originally wrote Crossroads?
I do not.
Robert Johnson. That's
I
what
did
he's
not
famous
know
for.
that.
Yeah, so Robert Johnson
I thought that was Bone Thugs and Harmony.
So let me give you a quick little blues lesson since it kind of pertains to Buddy Guy. So Robert Johnson wrote Crossroads, and the Crossroads is supposedly, in blues folklore, that's where Robert Johnson sold his soul to the devil.
Okay.
So he could become this amazing bluesman and guitarist and everything. And then, obviously, Robert Johnson was one of Eric Clapton's biggest influences. So then Cream, which was Eric Clapton, Jack Bruce, and Ginger Baker, they were kind of this like super band, this power trio. They did an electric version of Crossroads, which then became super famous, and it's been covered by all sorts of people. There's also, believe it or not, a really good cover by John Mayer. That's awesome. He can shred some serious blues. And John Mayer actually has a song with Buddy Guy.
I never really thought much of him until you started playing some of his stuff for me.
You should check out Buddy Guy and John Mayer, the song, and our listeners out there should also check this out.
I got like a list.
Right? I love my music. We both do. It's just a part of our lives. But you should check out the song "I've Got Dreams to Remember" by Buddy Guy and John Mayer. It's a great song.
I've got dreams
to remember.
You should have chosen a shorter titled song because this is really stalling.
You could probably just do dreams. You could probably just type in "dreams to remember."
It's too late. I've already written it all down.
There you go. But anyways, I think that's why he played such a broad set, is just to appeal to everybody in the audience.
Yeah,
I think he knew he could get a little rise out of them by playing.
And that's more
like some
accepted
Jimi Hendrix
in the blues and rock community anyway. It's not like it's not like he's claiming it's his stuff. Yeah,
right.
No, I feel
and
that.
He paid homage to all the musicians and guitarists. He said, "Oh, this is a BB King song. This is an Eric Clapton song." So he also gave credit where credit was due. What's also fascinating though about Buddy Guy, and this will be my last thing because I could talk about him for hours. He's one of my favorite guitarists. But anyways, what's funny about him though is Jimi Hendrix got really, really famous on an international level before Buddy Guy did. But Jimi Hendrix was heavily influenced by Buddy Guy's music. And so what's funny is later on as Buddy Guy became more famous, people would say, oh, those are Jimi Hendrix licks. But really, Jimi Hendrix took licks that were Buddy Guy's licks and we're playing them.
I laugh, but that's probably rough to keep hearing. Well, first of all, I'm older than him.
Right. Well, I think most actual people who know a lot about blues music or guitar would know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm still sure that, most of the people that are listening to him or are probably not I would just imagine, just numbers-wise speaking, most of the people that are hearing his stuff are not hardcore nerds on that stuff like you are.
True.
Because as you said before, blues is dying.
Right. Well, I hope it doesn't. I'm trying to keep it alive. That's for
keep
sure.
it alive. Keep it alive.
But yeah, speaking of guitar and music, I'd like to move on and give a shout out. I found this really interesting article by the Boston Globe, and this was just too good for me not to share with you and with our listeners. The headline is, "This guy plays guitar during his morning walk to work." So shout out to this gentleman named Peter Wolf. He has almost a mile walk to work, which is about a 20-minute trek. And usually, if the weather permits, he'll be walking to work with his Fender Stratocaster and headphones in.
Oh my God.
Jamming out all the way to work.
Doing that?
Not until now, but if the weather permits, I might do that.
That level of that's got to be a great exercise. And what I would do is, even if you just do like as you're going and you're just playing chords or something like that, or chord progressions as you go, that's got to be a great thing for great mind and hand exercise and brain exercise.
It's, believe it or not, it's not easy to walk and play
I'd believe
guitar.
I'd believe it.
Yeah. It's really not. You got to kind of train your body to do both.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
it seems unnatural.
But apparently he's been doing this since college, which I think is awesome. And if you think about it, if you have a 20-minute walk every day, and if the weather permits and you can play your guitar,
and you feel
that
safe
adds
also,
up.
By the way, I think that's an important. I feel like there's a lot of areas. Because I think about some areas I go around here, where it's I don't know if I'd recommend you do that.
Right.
You might be able to theoretically, but I would leave the guitar at home.
Right. Right. Oh, definitely. What's also cool though is they make a lot of guitars now that are made out of, carbon fiber. So
it's
in
a
theory, well, that too. I wasn't even thinking about that, but you're totally right. But also, it can withstand cold temperatures and rain. That's where I was going with that.
Oh, so the wood won't be affected.
Right, because there's
or
no
the wood
wood
would be affected. Excuse me.
Exactly. But yeah, so I think that's awesome. So shout out to you, Mr. Wolf, for jamming out on your walk to work.
I want to hear some actual things that Mr. Wolf has played. I bet you Mr. Wolf's got some skills.
I'm sure he's got some chops. I would imagine
it's not easy doing that.
Right, definitely. Well, my last shout out is kind of a long one. But our episode is about elections, and this midterm in the United States has been very historic. Mm-hmm. There have been a lot of firsts during this election. So I'd just like to read a list. It's a little long, and I'm going to post this on our Facebook page, so when this episode drops, our listeners can... You're good.
Throat malfunction.
Am I getting you sick across the computer screen here?
I'm glad it's long, though, because this is you're about to list milestones.
Yeah, so here we go.
So
a list of 20 historic firsts from the 2018 midterms. Number 1, Ayanna Pressley became Massachusetts' first black congresswoman. So shout out to you. Sylvia Garcia and Veronica Escobar became Texas's first Latinx congresswomen, which I think is really remarkable considering the amount of Latinx populations in Texas.
I know, that's crazy. In Texas? Yeah. I mean, it's got to be, I don't know the numbers, but it's got to be at least 1/3, if not more.
Well, I wonder if, sometimes the devil's in the details here, and I wonder because it's congresswomen. I bet you there have probably been some Latinx congressmen,
right? Yeah,
in Texas. Okay, next Jared Polis became America's first openly gay governor in Colorado. And I don't know if
Jared's.
right?
Gay
Shout
and
out to
straight.
Jared's. Yep, that's right. We love all of our Jareds in the world.
Yes.
Except for Jared from Subway. Fuck that guy.
That's a good point.
But yeah. So what's funny though about this is Colorado is the state where the baker had the lawsuit about not wanting to bake a cake for a gay couple. And
Right,
now his
yeah.
governor is gay. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's great.
That is great.
And then, of course, I'm sure you've heard this name before, Jared. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez became the
Yeah, I think you
youngest
got it, yeah.
woman ever elected to Congress. I believe she's 29.
Wow. What was she just elected to before? Like some sort of local? Because she was.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
It was something local.
Because
Yeah.
I remember there was a big deal that she just got elected to that. But yeah. Oh, sorry. Shout out to her. That is awesome.
Okay,
We
I
need more
apologize.
young people in there.
We do.
Because that's the thing about the House is that there's no you can be on it forever.
Right, and
And-
we have some old fogies.
Yeah, and it's because especially during midterms, it's mostly only old fogies voting, and we'll
Right.
get to that more later because I have some numbers on that.
Exactly.
But
perfect.
we need it's impressive just to see someone that young getting in there in general because that means young people are voting more.
Right. Also, though, do you know what a congressman or congresswoman makes?
I believe it's 120.
170,000.
Damn. It's good
So we
living.
need to run for Congress, bro.
Good living. I think we
Yeah.
have too many podcasts for that. I've screwed my
Probably.
I've screwed-
Probably.
Too much evidence of the terrible things we're willing to say.
That is true. Good point.
They don't allow those sort of Reddit AMAs
Right.
during press conferences.
Or maybe they will. Who knows? Maybe we'll change the face of politics.
Yeah, young it up a
Anyways,
little bit.
Right. Anyways, we still have quite a few to go. So we also have, and I apologize if I butcher their names, we have Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar became the first Muslim women elected to Congress.
Where at?
So congratulations to you two. I think we need more accurate representation of our country in Congress. So I think this is great.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to. I mean, we force yourself in, but also slap it in ignorant people's faces and be like, and yeah, that's essentially all I want to say.
Absolutely. Okay,
Shout out
good.
to you guys too.
And then Sharice Davids and Deb.
What state were they in?
Halland-
What state were they in?
It doesn't say.
Okay.
It does not say, unfortunately. This is just like a list of the exciting new groundbreaking things from these midterms.
I got you.
So Sharice Davids and Deb Holland became the first Native American women elected to Congress.
Which is also seems. I mean, seems almost laughable, doesn't it?
Yeah, 2018. Well,
First
once again,
Native
maybe there
Americans-
have been men, but probably not women.
Still, first Native American woman in America. That
it's a
seems
shame.
laughable.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah.
And then Marsha Blackburn became the first woman senator from Tennessee. Joe, I want to say Neguse was the first black congressperson elected by Colorado.
Man,
Michelle,
Colorado's out here doing work. Also,
yeah.
they've already got a
Oh,
couple.
definitely. Michelle Lujan Grisham became the first Latinx governor of New Mexico. Chris Pappas became the first openly gay congressperson elected by New Hampshire.
New
Latita
Hampshire's
James,
a weird state.
Yeah,
New Hampshire's
It
got.
is.
I always thought they always get like this, like they're in that sort of like granola belt of states up there,
right.
but they also get like this weird, sort of freedom connotation to them because they don't have like sales tax and
right.
Anyway,
Yeah,
sorry,
it's
keep going.
different. You're good. Latita James became the first black woman attorney general of New York.
That's dope. Also, this is I need to stop saying this, but this is all ridiculous to me. That
Yeah. Oh, I
like
agree
in New
with you.
York, it's like really
Right. A lot of these should have happened a long time ago. I agree.
right.
And then I believe it's Johanna Hayes became the first black woman elected to Congress by Connecticut. Then I actually have a quote from this gentleman for our podcast today, but Keith Ellison became Minnesota's first Muslim statewide official by winning Attorney General. And he's also from Detroit, so double shout out to you, Keith.
I need to somehow put this soundboard work on my resume. This is my best work right now.
That's right. And then this is pretty crazy. 19-year-old Kaylin Haywood was elected to Wisconsin State Assembly, becoming the youngest legislator in the U.S.
Oh, that's dope. I like that.
Yeah, 19 years old.
I didn't hear that
That's
part.
crazy.
You said 19?
19 years
Whoa.
old.
How do you
Yeah,
even
that's
become
wild.
a lawyer at 19?
It's not a lawyer. Just
What'd you say it was?
Wisconsin State Assembly. Youngest legislator. Legislator, not lawyer.
Oh. I thought I heard wait. How old do you have to be to do this? I guess this 18 is probably the answer.
I would think so, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it? Okay, number 15, Angie Craig became the first lesbian mother in Congress after winning Minnesota's 2nd district. So shout out to all of our LGBTQ people in government. We want your voices to be heard as well. Janet Mills became Maine's first female governor. So shout out to you, Janet.
I don't know what's going on up there.
Right. Kristi Noem became South Dakota's first female governor. Young Kim is the first Korean American woman elected to Congress. Lauren Underwood is the first black woman to win Illinois' 14th district. And number 20, our last milestone of this midterm election, Abby Finkenauer and Cindy Axney became the first women sent to the House of Representatives.
Nice. That's great. And I that's a list that I don't mind being long. That was a good list.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
It's I don't want to downplay the other stuff, but I do. I especially love to hear the young people stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That gets me excited because that really just because it makes me think that you need young people to vote that person in.
Mm-hmm.
Man, do you think you'd have the self-control to be on some sort of political position?
I think so, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
Okay.
I also think within our lifetime, I would say within the next 10 to 15 years, what will be considered politically acceptable will be different. I don't think people would care if you had a podcast and you dropped some F-bombs occasionally,
Right.
I don't know. I mean, if you go ahead.
For example, we have a new Supreme Court justice that always talked about how much he liked beer and used to play weird games. Speaking of beer.
Nice. I like that transition.
It's time for the next Beer of the Pod review. And this one is the fourth in our Tonewood series. And it is a Tonewood Revolution. By the way, Tonewood Brewing in Oak Line, New Jersey. Which is, I looked it up on Google the other day. It's only 15 minutes away from me, which I guess makes sense because I did hang out with my buddy who was in town. And so this is a porter, which usually means it has some sort. It's dark. It's a very dark beer. It usually means it has some sort of either, say, chocolatey or shall I say, coffee undertones. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I am usually not a huge porter fan, but so far I like what Tonewood's doing. I'm on board, and I'm willing to give it a try. The only thing that I'll say is this: porters are good, but it's whenever I'm drinking a porter, it's like it almost seems like a special occasion I didn't ask for. That seems like the best way I can explain it.
Okay.
I'm never just throwing back porters, but someone's
They're too heavy.
Someone's like, I'll get you a beer, and it's a porter, and it's like, okay, thanks. It's like, I mean, it's fine, but it's just I would never really this would never be one. It'd definitely never be something I'd buy for home, because as you said, it's too heavy, and I'm angry if I haven't drank at least 4 beers every night. That's a lie. Please drink responsibly. Anyway. So this is a porter, Revolution, Tonewood Revolution. It's a porter, and I'll show you the can. It's a cool looking can, I'll say that.
Oh, that's sweet.
Oh, wrong way.
I like that. Yeah, that's sweet. It's got the little fist, cool colors to it.
Yeah.
I gotta
Fists
say,
to represent a revolution, I would assume.
Right. I gotta say, man, I've really been a fan of all of their artwork on their cans.
Yes. Me too. And I also love with this can that it's also that sort of, you see it like that craft brew style where it's a sticker. Mm-hmm. I like that sort of low budget style. Let me read to you the little blurb on the back. Life is a celebration. From a quiet hike in nature to the thrill of a concert. With friends, every moment is an opportunity to live. At Tonewood Brewing, we celebrate everything we can and we brew beer for life. All right, that has nothing to do with this actual beer. That's just some of them have weird sayings, some of them don't. That one has nothing to do with the actual beer. But they claim this is a cold brewed revolution. Oh, here it is. Brewed in collaboration with Revolution Coffee Roasters. There we go. As I was mentioning earlier,
interesting.
Porters usually have some sort of chocolatey or coffee base or flavoring in them. This porter has been dosed with a blend of coffee beans from Malawi in Ethiopia. Cascade and Centennial hops flirt with subtle coffee characteristics in this balanced American porter. So I'm going to crack this puppy open, and I'm going to tell you what I think of this porter right here.
Nice, let's do it.
I like to always,
The 3 taps for safety.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
And everyone's favorite selfie, which I'm not going to say I've been getting a lot of comments that people have liked the selfies, but the pictures of me drinking beers always do seem to do well on Instagram. I'm just saying.
I think we actually just got a comment on one of them. Hold up.
Did we really?
I think so. Yeah, hold up.
All right. Well, as you do that, as you look at Instagram while I'm trying to conduct a podcast.
Interesting. No, never mind. But yeah, I mean, I also personally really enjoy your pictures with your beer selfies.
Oh, thank you. The ladies do too. I've been getting a lot of good comments. Thank you, ladies.
Right.
No one said anything, by the way.
Shout out to all the non-existent ladies commenting Jared's beer selfies.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Man, these selfies. Anyway, so let me get on this porter. Of course, because it is a. What are you reading, by the way? Just tell me now.
I'm looking at our Instagram.
Can you not? What was the comment that you thought was?
It was one about one of the beer selfies. But yeah.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry. I put my phone away. We're good.
I hate, as I did, I stick up my phone and take a picture of myself. Please, I'm trying to have a conversation with you. Now look at the back of my phone.
It's okay. I'll sip my tea.
Okay, that's
Kermit
a good picture.
style.
That is a good picture.
You're oh nice. You're becoming a pro at this.
Okay, so it does have that coffee taste to it. What the thing about the porters that is a little different than all the other ones I've had is it doesn't have, which is almost kind of surprising because I think this is usually a quality of some porters, but it doesn't have that same sort of smoothness quality that I would give to the other ones. It's not harsh or anything. But like the wheat beers and sort of those cloudy beers have that, and the Dunkel didn't have this either. It kind of did, but not as much as say the IPA based ones. But it's very flavorful. I do like that. I think what's different than this. It was different in this porter than some other ones that I would not like as much as the hops are a little bit more pronounced. Now, you probably wouldn't like this because you're not a huge fan of porters, are you?
No.
And then the thing that makes this a little bit better to me is that it does seem like I can taste some of the hops there as well. But you don't like hops.
I'm not a huge
overly
hops
hoppy,
guy.
overly hoppy
Right.
beers. And I did not mention this is also 6.5% by volume.
Oh, that'll get you. A couple of those bad boys will get you.
And so I can read you another little thing. Coffee porter, our chocolatey, dark and rich toasty and roasty porter with heaps of coffee on the nose and taste. rounded out by earthy herbal hops and subtle notes of oak, figs, currants, and vanilla.
Nice.
The vanilla kind of makes sense. I can taste that. Currants, I couldn't spot that taste if you stuck a currant in my hand and told me it was a currant.
Right.
Figs, the last fig I had was in a Newton.
Right. That's
and
true.
oak, I don't really eat trees, but the oak part kind of makes sense too. I understand where they're coming from because I do taste like almost like earthy fruits. So it's
Okay.
not like fruity. I don't want to give that away, but it has that earthy taste, and I can imagine a fig representing more of an earthy sort of taste than say some of the more
Like an
citrusy
apple
beers I've had in the
right.
past. Like
Right.
yeah, and not my favorite, but that has nothing to do with the beer. That's more just because I'm not a porter person.
Right.
And I'll continue to drink this one. And to be fair, this is not the first one I've had. I've drank. I tried to save them, so like I drank them for the first time on the podcast, but I have no self control, and I've been looking at these beers for weeks. So like I just want to taste some of these beers.
Right. That's fair.
So like I have no problem drinking them, but it's just not my favorite only because porters are never my favorite. But I do think that it has a good taste, and I like the that what I've liked so far about Tonewood is that they seem to be very serious about their hops, and all their beers, except for maybe the Dunkel, seem to take hops very seriously.
Right.
And this seems like it's no different. And it's good. I like it. I
Nice.
could fucks with this. Once again, it's like a treat no one asked for.
That's true.
It's always the way I explain it.
I feel like a porter is also really good depending on the meal you're having.
Yes.
I would definitely.
I always like it after a meal.
Okay, that's fair.
If I were to have one, where it's like, all right, I'm done, and it's like, it's almost a dessert. Where it's
I was
it's
just
got
gonna
some
say a
more
little beer
flavor
dessert.
to it.
Right.
But I'm also not. And I'm full, but I don't want to. Like, I'm not ready to leave this restaurant or whatever. What were you about
Right.
to say? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, there's a really, really good vanilla Java porter that I've had. I think it's either by Atwater Brewery out of Detroit, maybe even Bell's Brewery. I'm not sure.
It might be Bell's. It might be Bell's.
But it's good. But I think it's the same.
I'm familiar.
Yeah, it's definitely more of a dessert kind of beer. Definitely not a let's chug some beers and chug porters.
Right. You would not
that
see shotguns similar to the ones on our Instagram happening with porters.
Right. That'd be
And the
bad
porter
day
seems
right there.
like a tough one to also have with a meal to me. What do you eat? What do you eat with a porter?
I envision myself being like really fancy and having like a prime small cut of steak.
Yeah, like a
maybe some-
very like a very unmolested piece of steak that's just salt and pepper.
Yep.
And it's like you're out on a campfire or something. Okay, here's I typed in 8 great food pairings for stouts and porters.
Oh, there you go.
This is a good one. This is also for alcoholics, I guess. Sweet breakfasts. So they say, for example, pancakes or French toast. For
Oatmeal might be good with a porter too.
Yes. Ooh, yes. Damn.
Oatmeal and a
That's
porter, my
great.
man.
Dude, I might have to do that this Sunday.
There you go. Nice.
That's great. That's a good idea. Yes, because
some brown
oatmeal's
sugar
great,
on that oatmeal and then
and
a
get some
porter.
bacon there. Bacon on the
Ooh,
side.
yeah.
I could, but French.
Some
I'm not a
hickory
big French
smoked
toast.
bacon, maybe.
Yes, I'm not a big French toast fan, but I do like the idea of French toast on a porter too. I also, to be honest with you, if I were to drink in the morning, I'm kind of a fan of just coffee with some whiskey in it.
There you go.
Anyway, oysters. Well, I'm not going to be eating oysters, but
Me either.
as you mentioned, this is probably similar to what you mentioned before, a beef stew.
Oh yeah, stew would be good, or
Yeah.
a good Czech goulash. My Czech listeners are probably going to be cringing because I didn't say a Pilsner Urquell with Czech goulash, but I feel like depending on the type of sauce for a Czech goulash would be good with a porter.
Yeah. Okay. Boiled bacon and cabbage. All right. Well, we're not British
Maybe.
or whatever. What is this? Oh, it's Irish.
It's
yeah.
Irish, yeah.
That looks like the food of that literally looks like the food of people that have never heard of seasonings before. It's like
Right.
you guys had all those slaves, and this is the food you're still making. Jesus
They didn't
Christ.
have slaves in Ireland, did they?
Oh, sorry. That's right. That's my bad.
You were thinking
That's
of
my bad.
America, weren't you?
No. I was thinking England because at first in my head I was like, this looks like some English
colonizers,
food.
right.
But I'm
Gotcha.
sorry. I'm sorry, Irish. I didn't mean to put that on you guys. Still, your food looks like trash. Grilled meats, as we said, makes sense. Still, I think I'd prefer like a good double IPA or a good wheat beer, or even a good pilsner with the grilled meat. I'd say pilsner before I'd go wheat beer.
I would agree. Honestly, after living in the Czech Republic, I could drink a Pilsner with just about anything,
But I'd
probably
say
be happy with it.
Pilsner is probably one of the more universal beers. Strong cheese. That actually sounds great. Like if you're having like a dessert cheese platter, if you don't
that'd
want
be
a
good.
dessert wine, you get a good porter. That's when you have your Tonewood. I'll have the cheese platter and a Tonewood Revolution, please. A what?
Slow down,
you
Mr.
heard me.
Fancy Pants.
A Tonewood Revolution. Chocolate cake and dessert. By the way, if you're drinking a beer and eating chocolate cake, you got bigger problems.
That's true.
I don't care
is
what
true.
kind of beer it is. No self-respecting adult should be drinking a beer and eating chocolate cake at the same time.
Or maybe if you're a baller, you should. I don't know.
I think it's more respectable to have beer with breakfast than it is to have a piece of chocolate cake.
That's fair.
And beer.
What are your thoughts on chocolate cake and maybe coffee and whiskey or coffee and rum?
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
That's okay.
It's just, it seems like, it almost seems too much. I don't know.
Too
But
indulgent.
I'll tell you this article got me back in one scroll. They showed me vanilla ice cream. Now, if there was vanilla ice cream on this cake, that might be a different story. I think I just need something to cut the sweetness, like
That's fair.
that aggressiveness of a piece of chocolate cake.
Yeah.
I love chocolate cake, but I think if their ice creamers there would help cut into that a little bit.
That's fair.
And that's all. Those are some things you can have with
Nice.
quarters.
So
And
there
if
you go.
Yeah. Sorry, and once again, there's a fire truck. Did I mention I missed recording at my sister's place?
Guess you got to relocate to Ann Arbor.
No, I got
Bummer.
a good closet that I can use in my basement. Seriously, you'll see. I'm gonna be in a closet next time.
All right.
It's gonna sound like I'm in a professional studio that Jay-Z uses.
Nice. I don't have a lot of choices here at my apartment. It's either kitchen, bathroom, bedroom. I've tried the living room. It's just awkward trying to sit on my couch. It's not the right height.
Right.
But
And
yeah.
I don't like the way you like spread your legs like that and just point your camera in that spot. It's very unprofessional.
That's true. We try to keep it as professional as possible here at the Untranslatable Podcast. That is for sure.
Speaking of untranslatable podcasts, I think it's about that time.
Oh, I think so. I think it is. Mluvite anglicky. Oh, no.
My finger slipped a little bit. I didn't even know you could do two at once like that. At least I learned something.
There you go. All right, Jared, I have a Czech one for you
Okay.
to get us started.
I need to stop saying it, but I'm still shocked that you have more of these.
All right, so this is Zmizet jako para nad hrncem, which literally means to disappear like steam over a boiling pot.
Is it like, oh, you were just there a second ago. Where'd you go? Like, I lost you.
But we have a specific phrase in English.
Disappeared into the wind? No, no one says that in English.
No, to vanish into thin air.
Oh.
Or to vanish without a trace.
Okay.
But yeah, you basically got it.
Yeah, okay. My first one is Finnish, and it's titocone. Titocone. One of those
Sounds
two.
Italian.
I'm going to say titocone. Oh, yeah, it does. Titocone. And it means knowledge machine.
It's probably Tito Cone because Finnish, I believe, has the stress on the first syllable. Because in Finnish, I know like Hyvä päivä means like good day.
Tito Cone.
So
That still just sounds like
knowledge machine.
Yeah.
Is this like a brainiac or a genius?
No.
It's
This
not.
is actually just a device.
Is it a smartphone?
No, it's a computer.
Computer. Okay, that would have been my.
That's
other
just their
guess.
word for computer.
I like that.
Translates directly to knowledge machine.
I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That is a very good one. Okay, so I have another Czech one for you. and it is hod toza hlavu, which means to throw it behind your head.
To put it in the past.
Yeah, more or less. I would say to like
It's a thing of the past, to forget about something, to...
Yeah, don't let it get to you.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I need to use that sometimes.
Me too.
My next one is this, and last one is Lithuanian, and it's intellecto nezuzalotu vidu. And it is literally translated to face is unharmed by intellect.
Face is unharmed by intellect.
Yeah.
So are these people who, I mean, I would assume them like people who don't, like that you're not easily intimidated?
No.
No? Can you give me one of your world-class examples?
So we're gonna have a we're gonna be talking about voting, and a lot of people say voting was a very serious topic for the midterm election because we have a president in America that a lot of people don't like. A lot of people say that he has a face that is unharmed by intellect, and it makes no sense for him to have been voted because his face is unharmed by intellect.
Okay, so it's like you don't know how they got there?
It's to instantly spot a fool.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like this person obviously, like this person, there's no intellect to confuse you, like on this person's face to confuse you. This person is clearly an idiot.
I see. That's a good one. Okay. I have one more for you, Jared, and for our listeners out there. And it is German. I think you will know what all these words mean together, or separately, but I'm not sure if you know the meaning of these together. So the phrase is Handschuh Schneeballwerfer.
Glove, snowball thrower.
Mm-hmm.
So it's someone that throws snowballs with their glove on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's someone that could like dole out a hit but can't take it back, like someone that can give it but can't take it.
Kind of. I would say this is more someone who judges or criticizes from afar.
Okay, so it's like okay, that kind of makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to pick this one specifically.
Where it's like comfortably like lobbing assumptions from far away with you.
Right. Exactly.
Do it like a man. Take your gloves off.
Right.
Get your hands cold.
Exactly. And I wanted to pick this one because I thought this would be kind of a great commentary on this. This just made me think of a lot of Americans who criticize our political system yet don't go out and vote. Yeah.
And I think it's I mean that's part of like I think America has gotten to the point where we're kind of proud of our people are kind of proud of I mean not proud to a unhealthy level of their stances, to where it turns them almost indoctrinated into them, and people like define themselves by them.
Right.
So yeah, voting. Voting just happened. If we were well prepared, we would have had this come out on the Monday before midterm elections, but we thought of it like days after the election.
Right.
However, we recently had our midterm elections here in the United States, and so that's why we had voting on the mind. It was a very big deal. I'm not gonna say we. I'm not gonna spend the time to explain how our entire governmental system works. It's gonna take too long. But essentially, we have elections every 2 years. Every 4 years is presidential, and also on there is House of Representatives, and then there's other local stuff. Mm-hmm. And then every 2 years is House of Representatives and senators. Sometimes it's senators, I guess, depending on the year, and local stuff as well.
Exactly.
And just on a national kind of national average over many different years of elections, it tends to be that about 60% of eligible voters vote during a presidential year, and 40% vote during midterm elections, which
Right.
to a lot of countries around the world, hearing 40% vote sounds ridiculous.
Right. Well,
Like, I mean, it's unheard of to the point to. I mean, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I think one of the reasons is that voting is kind of a difficult and complicated process in the United States.
Yes.
I think that is for specific reasons. I think some of the people in power do not want everyday Americans to have an easy access to their vote because I think they're afraid that they will lose power. So there have been all sorts, especially during this midterm, there have been all sorts of different stories about, how difficult the conditions were for voting. Apparently some places too, they had ballot boxes that were like locked up and were never delivered. All sorts of stuff that is a big
There's
problem.
a lot of stuff. That stuff that you just mentioned is called voter suppression. And that is these tactics that people put on to try to, like, they'll make up lies to say that, oh, you need this sort of identification to vote here, or oh, you need this, where really all you need is just a license. And then also there's things that have been going on. I mean, that's been going on forever as well. But then also gerrymandering, that's a huge one.
Oh, it's a big
where
issue.
you could strategically make your own, you strategically redistrict areas to strategically get the right, like all the voter, like to get the voters, your constituents essentially. So
Right.
sometimes these gerrymandered districts will have like just random streets in them. They're so specific, where it's like like a circle with these little offshoots where it's like, oh, well, we need this tiny little house, like just to get specific houses.
Yeah, it's crazy. And thankfully in Michigan, there's actually a proposal against gerrymandering, which passed. So that's really good.
That's great.
So yeah, gerrymandering is a big issue. I actually thought it was illegal, but
Well, it is, but the process of redistricting is not an unheard of process.
that's
So
true.
it's I think it's kind of tough to prove that what you're doing is it's tough to prove, and one, it's tough to also litigate. But the concept of redistricting of redistricting is, I don't think that's theoretically not a thing to do, but just to the level with which it's done and how it's done is where the problem lies.
Right.
So, Chad, I've voted in Philadelphia twice. Once for the presidential election 2 years ago, and then just the other day for this midterm election. I have never gotten a sticker.
Really? I've gotten a sticker every time.
Yeah. Last time, the first time during the presidential one, they said they were out, which was weird because I went there at like 2:00. It's like, really? And then just the other day I went at like 6, and then they never even brought it up. Like, I wasn't even mentioned.
Right.
And I didn't even think to ask for it. It didn't even cross my mind until I was like walking back home. I was like, oh, I didn't get a sticker.
Did you really vote if you didn't get a sticker?
I don't know. I mean, I'm really losing my standing on social media. People
That's
are hitting me
true.
up. It's like, Jared, come on, it's time to pay up.
Right.
So let's explain some different ways one can vote in the United States.
That's a great idea.
I'm only familiar with a couple. So one of them is what I'll explain what I did. Essentially, what it was it's a board that it's essentially like a big box. And this is all in one machine. So it's a big box, and within this box is a sort of siphoned off area so people can't see your shit. And on the box is what looks like I think it is actually just a piece of paper. But behind the piece, and on the piece of paper, it shows there's a column for Democrat, column for Republican, column for Independent, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And what you can do is you can either click a button where it'll just go straight down the line, which is just to vote all for the same party, or you can specifically pick and choose. And then once you do, and how it's doing it is, all it is there are specific holes in this pieces of paper where there are lights that show up where your selection is, and it's like buttons on this giant thing that are very tactile buttons. But it's weird because you can't see them because it's on like this piece of paper board thing. And then at the very bottom of the and there's an area on the other side where they have the local stuff where it's like the one I had to vote for was whether or not they wanted to borrow like $180 million for something. And then at the very bottom, there's this big green button that says vote. And there's almost like this obvious yet subtle sound/light thing that happens in there. I don't really know how to explain it because it happens quickly, but it's very clear that you've pressed the button. And then you go about your way and you take a picture of your sticker. And then what you do is you put on a good filter. And then you strategically place it somewhere on your body, whether it's over one of your glasses frames, on your forehead. You have it, say if you live in D.C., you could have it with a nice picture of the Capitol behind you. And you raise up a couple steps in the social ladder.
That's true.
And that's how you vote in America.
In Michigan, it's a little different where I vote.
Okay.
So it's still like a paper. You have to like fill in the circles. I feel like I'm back in high school doing a Scantron test. Making sure I get all the answers right.
With the pencil, I mean?
Pen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's no writing happening with mine.
Okay, yeah. So mine, it's a piece of paper and a pen.
Why are there different systems within the United States? So go ahead.
I think different states just have different systems. That would be, I think, the easy explanation.
I guess this is interesting that there's not like a ubiquitous. Sorry, go. I still want to hear this.
I agree with you. It should be the same. It should be consistent throughout the entire. Especially, well, maybe for federal elections, but maybe for local and state elections.
You can do your own thing. Yeah,
right.
That's fair.
But yeah, so it's a slip of paper, and then you slip it into this machine that kind of looks like almost like a printer or a copy
Oh, it's like
machine.
a Scantron.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And then is there a way for you to confirm it when you stick it into that thing? Or is that it?
You just stick it into the thing and you go home.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
And then there are some states, like for example, Washington, I believe, is one of them. Where they only do it by mail, so you send in your ballot. And I don't know what the ballot looks like because I've obviously never lived in a state where you've done that. Right. But you can also do that way. And then also for someone like you, who lives in the Czech Republic, you are still allowed to vote. You can get an absentee ballot sent to you.
Correct.
And I've never absenteed either, so I don't know what that looks like. But it's essentially you just send it in on a piece of paper.
Yep.
And even though Chad is not currently in America, he's still a citizen and he's still allowed to vote.
That's right. And also, if you are a senior citizen, both my parents are older, and they sent in absentee ballots as well.
They allow it over a certain age?
Yeah, in Michigan at least. I think maybe in every
there are
state
different rules in different states. Can I give one more before you say that? Absolutely. I have one more late shout out of the pod that I want to give.
Go for it.
And this is to the American people. Because voter turnout on Tuesday was at a record level. Not record ever, but it's higher than it's been. Damn, I don't have the number. But anyway, it was 47% of eligible voters voted in this midterm election. Sad that is
a record turnout.
That's a relatively recent record turnout, but also. Good that people are actually activated by whatever it is you're activated by. Good on you. Right. What were you about to say?
I was just going to say one of the big issues we have in the United States is the complexity of the different laws and rules in different states to be eligible to vote. The fact that I've heard that some states actually are legally required to give you 2 hours off of work, paid leave to go vote. I don't know which states, but apparently some states do that. I personally think it should be a national holiday or it should be on a Sunday where everybody can easily go vote. But once again, I think some of the people in power do not want everyone's voice to be heard.
I wrote down a list of ways we can make voting easier.
Oh, nice.
I have a couple things. I'm gonna run through them. Well, here's the deal. Chad wanted me to keep running and keep it going smoothly, but I specifically told him that I had a list of things. Hey Chad, are you back?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. I was shitting on you while you took off your headphones.
Getting my juice.
Because I was saying that Chad told me to keep going, but I'm about to run through this list of ways to make voting easier, so I kind of want you to respond to
That's fair. That is fair.
So make voting a day a national holiday, which you said. I guess I could have said that one while you in that time. Change the voting day. It doesn't have to be a Tuesday. If you don't want to make it a national holiday and don't want to give the day off, then change it to a Saturday or Sunday.
Do you know why it's a Tuesday?
I believe it went back to when you had to be on horses.
That's correct.
Didn't I tell you that?
You did, so I hope you were right.
Okay. Because you're telling me that like you're teaching me something new. So change the voting day to a Saturday. I bet you they wouldn't do Sundays just because we have even though we claim or not, we're so run by religion here that I don't think Sunday would fly. Allow everyone to send in votes, or figure out a way to do voting online. We do complex banking online with millions of dollars on a daily, consistent basis, and that's generally secure.
Do you know what country does their voting online?
I believe I do. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it's also a country that has compulsory voting.
Maybe?
Australia?
No.
Okay.
It's the country that has free Wi-Fi everywhere.
Estonia?
Yes, sir.
I mean, that makes sense. We offer you this. It's just like how like it must be able to figure out like if banking it can do it, and that involves all your money that you're so concerned about.
Right. Oh, you could definitely do voting online, I think. But I think the problem with
I got my driver's license online, and then I just had to go in and get a picture taken.
Right. But I think the problem with voting online is
there's a lot of countries that offer it, though. I'll run through it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry. But I'm listening.
The problem with voting online is, not everyone has internet access and a computer or a smartphone where they can vote online in the United States. There are a lot of
libraries can offer that. Libraries
That's
have
also
computers.
true. Good point.
And I think there could be a way where you'd say, we don't want to assume that everyone just has access to internet, whether it's a computer, smartphone, whatever it is. However, all the libraries, we can also tell you where your local library is, and they will allow you to use their computers for free, and you can vote there. And I think that would be a easy thing to do because libraries are already run by the government and already free.
Right.
So Brazil does voting online. Since 2000, all Brazilian voters are able to use the electronic ballot boxes to choose their candidates. In 2010 presidential election, which more than 135 million voters, the result was defined 75 minutes after ending the voting. The electronic box ballot is made up of two micro. Wait, what the fuck is? All right, I don't know if that's a box. Now I don't. Because now they call it like India. They also have electronic voting machines, but I think they're saying that those machines are run through internet. All right, forget it. But yeah, I think voting online. This is about me. This is not about other countries anymore. This is my list. And the last one that I have on the list, but I think we can think of some more, is to remove specific polling locations. So for the people that don't know, in America, there are specific locations where you're designated to vote, which is theoretically within a couple minutes of wherever you live and local to you. Theoretically.
Theoretically.
I've been lucky, but mine that I went to the other day was literally 2 minutes down a walk down from me, and I moved like a year ago. So my other one was in a different place, but it was like a 5-minute walk away from me. But not everyone's that lucky. And I think that we don't need a specific polling location.
I agree.
So that would be another thing where, say, for example, you can't get off of work to go all the way back home. However, you know that there's a polling location right around the corner from your job. It's like, I'm going to sneak out for 30 minutes and go vote, and then they'll be back.
And I believe in Australia, you can vote everywhere and anywhere that they, have a polling location, which I think is great. I don't know. It complicates things a little bit, I guess, because we do have federal and state elections, on the right. Sometimes they're on the same day.
But it has to be within your city. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Because
or even within your state, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's very fair to say you have to vote within the states you live in, at the very least. But I'm trying to think. Yeah, there was nothing that wasn't. I mean, was that money thing for Pennsylvania? I think that was just for Philadelphia. So I would say that if you keep it within the city, that's fair, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say so.
I definitely think they can make it easier. But I think that that's kind of the point. I think that there are a lot of places that would not go the way the elections would not go the way that they would if. Well, I'm just gonna straight up say it. I think a lot less places would be Republican if it was a lot easier to vote, because I think that voter suppression is it's a tactic, almost like campaigning is a tactic. Like this is part of how this is part of the election process. Is all these voter suppression, gerrymandering tactics. This is all within it. Right. And a lot of it is strategically done to keep positions. I mean, all of it. That's the point of it. That's why they do it.
Exactly. And I'd like to touch on that a little bit. So
especially in places like California, like Texas, where it's like the number, like it's just the number of Hispanic people there. It's just like that, like just these numbers don't add up. Sorry, go ahead.
Right. So disenfranchising minority voters is definitely a problem in the United States. And the government does this by having crazy voter ID laws where your state ID maybe has to match your driver's license or something else that, I don't know all the ID laws, but I know some of them are pretty crazy. And what's hilarious, though, is Brian Kemp, who was running for, I believe, governor of Georgia, when he went to go vote, he is actually he was the Secretary of State, which meant he was in charge of overseeing the Georgia election, which I also don't understand how you can be in charge of overseeing an election that you are running in. That to me already doesn't make any sense.
Seems like a little bit of conflict of interest.
I would say so. But what's hilarious is he went to go vote, and he ran into trouble casting his vote because he ran into a technical issue that found his voter card invalid when he attempted to vote, which is
Who are these people that do this stuff? Dude, when I walk into even though I know I'm registered, sometimes like when I walk into the voting thing, I was like, I hope they have me on file. I hope I don't walk in and they're like, no, you're not on our. Who's that bull to do that stuff?
Right.
And how does that work? I don't understand how that works.
I don't know. I mean,
really
it
didn't work, either. But I don't understand. I mean, but it has worked.
Right. So that's a big problem.
Choked on myself.
You're good. That's a big problem are the voter ID laws. I think we need to just have, if you have a driver's license or any type of identification, I also think you should be able to register if you are not already registered at the polling place. Yes. So that's a big
you should
problem.
Also you have to be registered to vote by what?
In Michigan it was
how far in advance?
In Michigan it was almost a month,
like a
in
month
advance.
Or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like what's that time for in between? Why do you have to do that?
Right. I agree.
Can I run through a list from of 7 other nations that make the American voting process looks dumb?
Sure.
And let me say how they said it. 7 other nations that prove just how absurd U.S. elections really are. They put it a little nicer than I did. Not nicer, but cleaner.
Right.
By the way, I don't mean to also shit on the U.S. during this, because I think we're talking about corruption. This is our form of voting corruption.
Right.
Vladimir Putin has been president of Russia for how long? 130 years? And it's always like some sort of like, 98% win. Like it's always something ridiculous like that.
Or it's like if they had an election in China or something.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So the longest campaign in Canadian history was 10 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Which I think I had to like look this up somewhere else to be like, that doesn't even make any sense.
Trump is already campaigning for 2020.
He's never stopped campaigning.
No.
He was campaigning within he was doing on rallies within like a couple months of getting elected. But campaigns are regularly here like 2 years long. which is crazy. Oh, and because one, it's just too much time, especially because these people are still politicians. A lot of them, not all of them, because if some of the, but no, I'd say all of them. Just about all these people are politicians while they're campaigning. So it's just like it's just like, how about you focus on actually putting through the laws that people that the current people that voted for you want, rather than it's almost like someone gives you a plate of food. It's like, oh, that looks delicious. Like, oh, but can I have some? Can I have some more? It's like, you haven't even touched what's on your plate.
Right.
And then also it's ridiculous because campaigning costs money, and that's another thing that the U.S. can learn from other countries, because we by far spend the most in campaigns. In the U.K., political parties can only spend $30 million in the year before an election, which still kind of sounds like a lot, but
it's a lot of money, yeah. And also, can you imagine if we use that money that we use in campaigns for other things? I mean, me being from Michigan, we have horrible potholes in our roads. I feel like if you put half of that money, you could fix all the roads. You could do a lot for infrastructure, for education.
According to the Washington Post, Hillary Clinton gained $1.4 billion for campaign funds. $623 million came from the Hillary Clinton campaign. 98 came from party and joint fundraising committees. 204 million came from super PACs.
That's the problem right there, is the super PACs.
Is that like lobbyists? Is that what a super PAC
so,
is?
Yeah, and also I think corporations, right?
Yeah, I consider that lobbying.
Mm-hmm.
And then Donald Trump was 957 for same stuff. His campaign, party and joint fundraising. Oh, excuse me. His campaign was 334, and then fundraising was 543. Party and joint fundraising, and then super PACs was 79 million. Hillary Clinton had those super PACs on lock, and that Hillary Clinton campaign. That's very vague to me. Mm-hmm. Is that just people donating? Is that what that is?
Probably. I would imagine so.
Okay. Yeah, the super PACs is terrible. So that's just essentially, man, this is so what that is companies and different lobbies, which are I guess committees made up of people from the same industry of companies, and they lobby for their industry or their company to so they lobby for laws that benefit either whatever their lobby is, which is usually a group of companies, or and the way they lobby and convince is essentially just by giving whoever gives the most money usually gets because if by giving a lot of money, we're saying we're voting for you, and we're also showing it's not just that you're getting our vote, but it's that one, you're getting our money, which is obviously huge, but you're also getting a huge sign of some support from a giant, usually some sort of Fortune 500 company. This stuff is public, so these companies are sort of making a some sort of statement by doing so as well.
Right.
And so usually what the companies would assume by their investment, I mean, they're a company, so this is an investment on the company's part. They're assuming if they give enough money, once it comes time to loosen up, say, some sort of pollution laws or loosen up trade laws or tariff laws, that it'll benefit those companies.
Right. And
it really people don't like it, mostly because it sort of weakens the voice of the actual person that's doing the voting.
Absolutely, and it also weakens the representatives, and they don't do what's right. They only do what is in the interest of a company that's giving them thousands, if not millions of dollars, instead of actually representing the people, which is why they were elected in the first place. So yeah, money in politics is a really terrible thing, I think. I got one more.
In Germany, political parties release just one 90-second television ad. That's probably got to be one of the worst/best parts of American politics are the commercials.
Oh, the commercials are hilarious.
Have you heard about the commercial? I believe it probably was for the midterms. It wasn't my state, so I didn't know. I didn't know exactly what it was for. But there is a man. Now I wish I could just find it. But there's essentially. Let me see if I can find this. Siblings. I'm gonna tell you what I'm typing in. Siblings.
Oh, I did hear about this.
I found it.
I did hear about this. Yeah. The siblings all went against their brother who was running as a Republican, right? And they said he was racist and homophobic and everything, right?
Yes. Do you want me to just play some of it? I could play it.
Can you?
Yeah, it's a commercial. No, it's on the news. You can play that stuff.
Oh, can you? All right, sweet.
I think so. Well, see, now I just realized I got to pull it up on my phone then. But
let's just post it on our. Let's just post, or if you want to play it now, you can. But
it's fine. It's fine. But anyway, so there's essentially this. Because I don't remember exactly what what was said, and so I didn't just want to start making stuff up because I didn't. I'm gonna just type it in because we don't have to listen to all of it, but.
But you are right, Jared. That is one of the funniest things about the.
They don't need to know the truth.
Oh, that's a commercial. Sorry, go ahead. I'm listening.
They, just the political ads are just hilarious.
Yes. All right, I'll play it.
6 siblings, all speaking out against their brother as he makes another bid for Congress.
Gaston Gosar.
Paul Gosar is my brother.
Republican incumbent Paul Gosar is running against Democrat David Brill in Arizona's 4th District.
I just want to hear them.
In the fight, Brill's campaign is ranging from healthcare to the environment.
Paul's absolutely not working for his district.
And it's not just Arizona.
So it's literally stuff like that where it's just
His siblings are just shitting on him. It's so great.
All of the siblings except for the one that's running. And so the guy that's his competitor running against him got all of his siblings to do this. Apparently, the mom is a hardcore Republican like the Gosar that's running. The ones, unlike the siblings. Right. And the mom's on the siblings' side. She's like, I don't know why they would do this to their brother. And it's like, that probably means you're a piece of shit too then.
Right. That's true.
So yeah, the commercials are the best part because it's just these it's just the most basic form of the most obvious and basic form of just shitting on your opponent, where they'll say Jim Jimerson, the Democratic candidate, is for illegal immigrants entering this country. Jim Jimerson is for criminals taking over this country. Right. Jim Jimerson wants to release black people from prisons. It doesn't care about blah blah blah. It's just the most basic. Or it's blah 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 Republic. Mike Mikerson, the Republican, wants to take all your money and wants to right. Cut all public spending and take away it's wants to close all libraries or just stupid
right.
shit like that.
It's usually it's usually to slander your opponents and
But it's so
they're really entertaining.
Simple. Mm-hmm. Or it's who's falling for this? But they work because people spend millions of dollars on them. But I was these are just so foolish to me. And it's who's basing their decision off of this? But I think the answer is a lot of people.
Yeah, I
because
agree.
They do work, or else people wouldn't do them.
Right. So I have a few questions for you, Jared.
Okay.
We mentioned that we were going to talk a little bit about elections in other countries as well. So I'm curious if you happen to know. What is the youngest age in the world that somebody can vote, and which country?
I don't know the country off the top of my head, but I do remember reading that. Oh, I remember in Hungary, they were saying, is it Hungary? I believe in Hungary they were saying that I'm not sure of Hungary, but I do remember there's a country saying that the age is 18. However, if you have a job, then you can vote at 16, which I think is awesome.
Okay. I'm not sure about Hungary, but I'm pretty sure Brazil, you can also vote at 16.
If you have a job? Or just in general?
I'm not sure.
What do you think is the age that people should be voting?
I I don't know. I mean,
Does 16 seem too young to you?
so right here,
I didn't know shit.
Well, right
I mean,
here,
I didn't know shit when I was
so
18.
Brazil
I
lowered the
barely
voting
shit
age
now.
from 18 to 16 in the 1988 Constitution. So yes. So what's interesting though is in Brazil, if you're 18, you are required to vote, but 16, it's optional. Well, here's the thing,
I like
Jared.
that.
Right, I do too.
That's a
but
good way to get people into voting too.
I agree. Here's my justification for voting at 16. We trust 16-year-olds to drive a car. And you can kill a lot of people with a car if you're not paying attention. Why not give them an opportunity to vote, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're getting the voice of the people. And I mean, at what point are people worth listening to, I guess?
Right.
Also,
I mean,
in
16's
Brazil,
young, but yeah.
In Brazil, what you said makes sense also because it's compulsory there to vote.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I do like the idea, though. I mean, I think that's a great idea, even if it's not compulsory to vote, to get people started voting that way.
Right.
And
Now-
I think that helps with the conversations in school about voting.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it a little bit more real.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think they're also, especially in America, especially in recent years, there is a thing to shaming people that don't vote, especially now that, once again, as I said, there's a president that a lot of people detest.
Right.
So there is like a thing to shaming people that don't vote. So I think it's good to start that shame a little younger.
That's fair. That is true. So now we're going to go the other end of the spectrum. What do you think the oldest age is?
Interesting. 21?
Wow, good job. Any guesses on which countries?
Those. I mean, the only reason I guess 21 is because just like 16, 18, and 21 are like the standard ages. That
No,
we
I
kinda-
agree.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Lebanon and Singapore.
Yeah, I would not have guessed that. 21 seems too late.
Yeah, I agree.
In the words, in what I always, well, not always use, but what I remember one of my teachers saying, his thing was with the drinking age, where it's like it makes no sense that someone can go to war but they can't have a beer.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And yeah, it's these are all arbitrary ages that we decide mean you're smart enough to make this decision.
Right.
It's kind of like the thing we were mentioning with ethics, where it's like everyone's idea of what it means to be an adult and what it mean, like what and how much people care about someone else's voice, like all that stuff varies greatly. I think Americans kind of have a reputation for like disregarding what young people have to say. Mm-hmm. It's just like I feel like every generation, there's always like the next generation to like we're kind of known for always talking down to the generation below us, like the sort of the dominant generation sort of always thinks that they got it all figured out. Or it's like,
right.
Does it look like society's great right now? What makes you like? It's like, if anything, this is because of you, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Yeah, I think especially in the United States, we need to do a better job preparing our young people for the changes that will be coming in the future. And I think voting is a good way to do that. Mm-hmm. Because if they are not active in the political system, what's going to happen is it's going to be run by a bunch of old fogies who, they don't care about the world because they're going to be dead in 10 to 15 years.
Yeah,
so,
there's less incentive to make decisions for the people.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So with that said, do you think voting should be required?
Yeah, I think also in voting in the United States, we should also have an option for none of the above.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. I think it should be required, but you should be allowed. But I think you should be allowed to opt out from choosing any of the options once you get there. But at least make them put in the effort of going there to do it. Because I think once you're there, if you are opting out, it's because you really want to opt out. But I think a lot of people that don't vote, it's not because they're opting out. It's just because they either don't care enough or are too lazy to do so.
Right.
Which I
would agree.
Is both all don't care, not caring. But I think some of those people that don't vote would have a choice, one side or the other. They just don't care enough to do it.
I think we might have different opinions here. When I mean none of the above, I don't mean you abstain from voting as in you don't cast your ballot, but like say you have two people running for governor, you don't like either of them, you can vote just neither of them.
That's what I meant. That's
what you meant. Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
The other
where it's
thing,
like you still have to choose something, but you're choosing neither.
And exactly. The other thing I don't understand is The other thing I don't understand is that I don't remember if it's midterms or general elections or what, but you can't vote like Republican and Democrat. I think it might be the primaries. I think it's the primaries.
It is primaries.
It has to be all Democrat or all Republican. I think that's a bunch of bullshit.
I think there is some. I don't think it's all bullshit because the primaries is before the presidential election. And it is to choose the presidential candidate. So it's chosen by it's essentially the people of the party choosing who they want their nominee to be so I think there is something to only because I think that could also lead to sabotage if during a primary, say someone votes for like the opposing person that they think is less likely to win or something. I don't know. I think that there is some legitimacy to making you have to choose a specific party during a primary.
Okay.
But I understand why, because there are also people that, especially for example with this election, where it's like, Mike Mickerson might be a Republican. But he's also like, I didn't realize this was going to be my option. I think I'm going to have to, go the other way on this one. But it's like, no.
Right.
Then you have to just wait till the final election, the general election, and vote for whoever they gave you. Because you can, now to make it clear for people, in the primaries, in some states, you have to vote with your party. Which... I don't really like that as someone that doesn't identify a party on my thing. But anyway, you have to vote with your party. But during the general election, you don't have to. So say you're a Democrat, but you decide you want to vote Republican, then you can, but just not during the primary. During the general election, you can.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you believe it should be compulsory, but you have the option to not choose either of the options on there. You could say, I choose neither.
Mm-hmm.
That's who I choose.
And if it's compulsory, it either needs to be on a day where everyone can get there, or an online ballot, or even that you can send in.
Well, then
your
you
ballots.
have to, don't you? Where it's like if you're going to make it compulsory, then you can't make it where I'm going to get in trouble at work if I don't go.
Right.
if I'm not at work. So there are some countries that do have compulsory, which is there's some that are enforced. That is compulsory, and some where it's not enforced. The enforced ones are Argentina, and it's compulsory for citizens between 18 and 70 years, non-compulsory for those older than 70 and between 16 and 18. So probably similar to Brazil. In Australia, it's also compulsory, and same with Belgium. It's been compulsory since 1894. Every citizen and registered non-Belgian voter from the age of 18 has to present themselves in their designated polling station on election day, always a Sunday. However, casting a legal vote is not compulsory. See, that's the thing. They at least make you show up. It's like you don't have to vote, but just show up. And I think,
interesting.
and it says legal sanctions still exist for those failing to present themselves or appoint a proxy without proper legal justification. Yeah, so you have to show up, but you don't have to vote. But only sanctions for absent appointed polling station staff have been enforced by persecutors since 2003. Okay. Brazil, you mentioned that. Ecuador, Liechtenstein, Luxembourg. It's compulsory for 18 to 75. If you're over 75, then it's not compulsory. North Korea, okay. Everyone over the age of 17 is required to vote for what? North Korea, you have to vote, but it's more just I'm going to assume that's more just a pleasantry, because it's like,
Right.
It just also it's weird that we vote, but it's been in the same family for the past however many years.
Right.
By resounding 99%. Thanks, guys. Also, that 1%, they've been murdered. Peru, Singapore, Uruguay, Switzerland. And then it's not enforced in actually a good bit of countries. That's surprising.
You know what's crazy about Switzerland? Is Switzerland didn't... females didn't get the right to vote in Switzerland until like the 80s.
Damn.
Yeah.
Compulsory voting was introduced in several cantons. I don't know what a canton is. Is that like a neighborhood? Region? Starting in the late 19th century. But by 1974, it had been abolished everywhere. Okay. Sorry, I was just wondering what that said. The 1980s, and Switzerland's always looked at like this place of like freedom and like a haven almost.
Mm-hmm. So sorry, not the 80s, 1971, but still,
Okay,
that's
much
pretty
better.
late. Yeah.
What is that? Oh, sorry.
What's up?
You guys, sorry. One of you guys couldn't hear that, but one of the articles that I had up that had voting stuff had an embedded video.
Oh, gotcha.
And at first I thought that was my phone that was still playing something, and I was like, "Well, it was Trump's voice?" And I was like, "What is happening right now?"
Uh-oh.
It was horrifying.
He overheard you talking. Watch out, Jared.
Horrifying. So yeah. Is there anything else you want to say about voting? There's I feel like this is a huge topic.
Mm-hmm. We've only scratched the surface, but I think it was a good surface scratch.
Yeah, we could talk more about it. There's more elections. Let's talk more about it in 2 years when we have another presidential election.
There we go.
We could talk more specifically about presidential elections.
Sounds good. Well, our song of the pod for this episode was specifically picked for its title and theme. It is called Vote 'Em Out by Willie Nelson, also featuring his son Lucas Nelson. Not that song, but that's also a classic. I have mentioned that I am a big Willie Nelson fan, but I'm curious, Jared, what were your thoughts on the song Vote 'Em Out?
Very literal. I liked it, but it was one of those songs where it's like, I mean, I like it, but it's not like it wouldn't be something I would listen to. It's a little cheesy, but it's like I feel like it's a good song to put out if you're someone that cares about politics and you want to get people to vote. He was talking about if you're going to complain, like Chad mentioned, don't complain if you're not going to vote. And don't worry, in however many years you'll be able to vote out that person you don't like, or keep in the person you do like, or whatever. And I like the message, but I like his voice. I always like to hear his voice. It's kind of a fun voice.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like songs go, it's a little cheesy. I mean, it's supposed to, but it's clearly just getting people to vote.
Serves
so
its purpose, right?
Right. It's not one of his finest like artistic masterpieces.
Right.
But it is as far as like, I'm sure if you were to line up other voting songs, I'd probably prefer this one.
Right. I really
So I'll
like
give
the
him
line. I really like the line when he says something like, "The biggest gun you got is the ballot box."
Oh yeah.
I like that
Yeah.
because I feel like a lot of people, sadly, a lot of times different political movements have a lot of violence, right? But
Yeah.
we've been lucky where we haven't had a ton of violence with our political parties in the United States.
And I also think it's a comment on the fact that a lot of people say that their vote doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree.
Because even sometimes I feel that way, but I also think what I do to get myself more motivated to vote, and this is going to show you how much of a I am, is I also try to remind myself that I'm not voting for myself really. Like this is, even though like I'm a minority, I've got a lot of problems that I could that are very pressing to me that definitely motivate my vote. But I do have this strong sense where it's like I don't first of all, I'm a pessimistic person in general, and I do think that our voting has been so corrupted through gerrymandering and all that stuff, where it's almost kind of sometimes a foregone conclusion. But there are two things I remind myself: is one, I'm not voting just for myself, so don't be so selfish to even look at it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And two, if I even if I don't think it means anything, it doesn't mean anything to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Especially for me, where it's in walking distance. Like, there's nothing for me to do it. So there's really no excuse not to, especially if it's your only real way to try to make a difference.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And the other thing is, we are also voting for all of the people living in the United States who don't have a vote.
Yes.
You know, I have friends who are German, who are either married to Americans or they work in the United States, but they aren't American citizens, and they can't vote. I have friends who are, you know,
I have a family that's ex-cons.
There you go. Yeah, and they can't
one.
vote.
I'm not going to say ex-cons.
Right.
Or one or two, actually.
But yeah, so, you know, we have to be mindful that our vote does matter.
And it's not just for you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You're voting for the greater good.
In theory, yes.
You should
Definitely.
be, I think.
Right, I agree. So yeah, so check out our Song of the Pod for this week. Vote 'Em Out by Willie Nelson. He is one of my favorite songwriters.
It'll be fun for me to post that on Twitter 2 weeks after midterm elections.
Right. A little late to the party, but it is what it is, you know. Well,
hey,
Jared,
everyone, vote. Did you vote?
Right. That was 2 weeks ago. But yeah. Well, Jared, I have a good Czech word for you. This maybe isn't the most practical. It's not a phrase, but it's one word. It is svoboda, which is the Czech word for freedom.
Oh, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this is a common word in a lot of Slavic languages. So I believe it's also the same in Russian, possibly also Polish. I'm sure it's the same in Slovakian.
Was it Croatian that is also similar?
Yeah.
Where
there are similarities, yes.
Where I believe I had a Croatian untranslatable recently, and you recognized dobra, I believe.
Yeah.
It was,
Meaning good. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Jared, it would not be an untranslatable podcast episode without a couple of jokes.
Of course not.
So,
this has been a very serious episode.
Yeah, we got to lighten it up a little bit. You know, I mean,
yeah.
Voting is very important, but you also have to enjoy life, and don't get too down on yourself if the party or the person you're hoping for doesn't win.
My polling place had cookies that they offered.
Oh, nice.
And they looked very nice, but I was like, I'm going to pass. I really think I'm turning into a germaphobe, because the first thing I thought was, how many people's hands have been in this
That's fair.
Cookie tray?
That's fair.
I got there at 6 o'clock. How long has this tray just been open?
Right. Yeah, you never know. All right, Jared, my first joke for you that I'm going to give to you is an original.
Oh, my favorite.
Here we go. Given this the first ever test run, here we go. What did the man selling cheese graters say to a hesitant customer?
What did he say?
He said, "Buy it, make America great again."
Okay, that's pretty good.
You like that?
Hezký kluk.
That was pretty good. Oh, actually, I probably should use this one.
Paráda.
That was, I like that one.
Yeah, I figured I had to throw in a pun in there.
A little political joke for you.
Yeah, absolutely. A slogan that now has become a cheese joke. How about that?
That sounds like a New Yorker cartoon or something.
Right? All right, so I got two more for you. What is the difference between baseball and politics?
I don't know.
In baseball, you're out if you're caught stealing.
Jeez, it's a little too real.
Right? And my last one for you.
By the way, how many pending charges are just in our current administration overall?
I think this administration has had more indictments than any other administration in the history of the United States. I could be wrong about that, but
And we're 2 years in, by the way.
yeah, correct. Also, I think that Trump is going to, he has spent more on travel in 1 year than Obama did in 4 years, I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
So that's pretty crazy. Anyways, we're doing jokes
There's also
though.
there's a similar stat with vacation too.
Yep.
And it's funny because anyway.
Anyways,
we're doing jokes.
right.
Speaking of
Anyways,
jokes. I mean, he is kind of a joke, so I think that's the funniest of all jokes.
saddest joke of all.
Yeah, the
as
saddest
well,
of
but
all
yeah.
jokes.
So here we go, Jared. What is the opposite of progress?
Politics.
Congress.
Oh, I don't know. I've heard that one before.
That's a
Why would I
Jon
think
Stewart
politics?
Right.
It's like, this doesn't make any sense.
I probably should have said progress, right? Like a pro and a con.
Oh, yes,
Progress,
yes.
Congress.
Well, yes.
Congress, yeah.
But that is a very common American joke.
Mm-hmm. Sadly, it's kind of
Wait,
true.
that's Jon Stewart's joke?
Yeah,
Oh, wow. I don't
Yep.
know.
Shout out to
That's
Jon
like
Stewart.
That's like in the American lexicon now.
right. Yeah,
Impressive. Yet I couldn't think of it
Right.
when you asked me.
right. Okay, well, we have concluded our episode today about elections in the United States and in other countries. And I would like to leave all of our wonderful listeners with a quote. And this is from Keith Ellison, who is
dat?
the first Muslim Attorney General of Minnesota, from Detroit
Nice.
as well. Graduated
Nice.
UD Jesuit Academy and Wayne State University. So shout out to you, Mr. Ellison. The quote
like U of T.
is... the quote is, "Not voting is not a protest, it is a surrender."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, people, it's so funny. There are people that feel very righteous in their decision not to vote.
I've never understood that.
Where it's like, what are you proving? You're not proving anything right now. Where it's like, it's not impressive not to vote. It's like, yeah, anyone can not vote.
Right.
But people are very righteous in believing that you're feeding into a useless system. And I think some of that comes to where it's like, we need to really shake up the system, and like ideally no one votes or whatever. It's like, and then what do we do?
That would be
And
bad.
it's like, yeah, that's also a real unrealistic way to look at reality, and also
Right.
pretty pessimistic. And that's coming from me.
Right. And I think a lot of Americans take voting for granted. You know,
I think we have it a little too good.
Yeah, I would agree. But yeah, so anyways, to all of our listeners out there, we hope you enjoyed our episode today about elections in the United States and in other countries. Let us know what you think on iTunes. We would love to see a review. Also, please, if you want to get in contact with us, you can slide into our DMs on Twitter at Untranslatable1.
Flipping on gator piss.
That's right. Follow our Instagram page. We now have 100 posts and more on the way, so check those out on Instagram at Untranslatable Podcast. Also, please take a look at our YouTube channel. We will be having some cool music in foreign languages up there for your listening pleasure. And as always, we really appreciate your support, and we are looking forward to talking to you next time.